Now, the big question is, if Harry and Meghan come to America, where are they going to live? Everyone wants to know. I think they'll move to LA because Meghan is an actor, and then she's going to want to work again, and then Harry can just join the cast of Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. Yeah, just be like fighting on TV. I know what you said about me, Denise. Say it to my face.
I don't think anyone in the world knows that Meghan Markle has eaten Jack in the Box and loves it.
It's so funny, too, that you keep saying Meghan Markle. You know I'm Sussex now.
That's fine. I'll go it alone. Just like Meghan Markle and Prince Harry.
Sir, your millions from Netflix for no one knows what.
Put it with the rest of them.
Babe, time to do our daily $250,000 sponsored Instagram post for Del Taco.
I shouldn't have left the made-up nonsense.
Everyone is wondering what they'll do to support themselves without any of that royal cash. Well, good news, Meghan's already got herself a job.
Here comes the first time in her life that Meghan Markle actually touches food. Let's watch that back. Why is she pushing apples into the salad?
And this is sweet. Meghan Markle said she has a finger they can use if they need it.
No more following Granny's rules. Don't wear your pants on your head, Harry. Don't barf on the butler, Harry. If I want to play polo in my living room, who's gonna stop me?
Stop that.
Prince Harry and Meghan Markle will still get paid millions of dollars for doing absolutely nothing.
I watched the Harry and Meghan Netflix documentary. Now, I'll be honest with you, before I watched it, I was not a fan of theirs. But now I've actually heard their side of the story, I f***ing hate them.
I said Meghan Markle is, of course, a lifelong feminist, which she's demonstrated by marrying a prince and giving up her job. The card he's playing is, I'm a victim. You go, no, you're not a f***ing victim.
I mean this sincerely. Prince Harry and Meghan, we don't give America don't give a about you. We don't.
When Taylor Swift and NFL superstar Travis Kelce announced their engagement, it wasn't just a love story, it was a cultural earthquake. Hollywood lit up with champagne toasts, Instagram tributes, and endless buzz about the wedding guest list. But not everyone was celebrating. Somewhere across Los Angeles, Meghan Markle wasn't raising a glass. Instead, insiders say she was pacing behind closed doors, frustrated, anxious, and furious. Why? Because Taylor and Travis weren't just another headline for Meghan. They were supposed to be her ticket back into the A-list conversation. Her grand plan was to re-enter the spotlight by securing them for her new podcast, a move she believed would instantly restore her Hollywood influence. But instead of a fairy tale collaboration, Meghan's plan crumbled in spectacular fashion. Tonight, we break down the 10 key moments that reveal how Meghan's strategy collapsed and why Hollywood is closing its doors on her.
We know what that means.
That's LA. She wants to be famous. She found the guy to make her the most famous in the world, and now she's over there and she's like, if she didn't marry him, she would be on The Bachelor this season. She would be Megan M. from Sherman Oaks barista. She just got lucky.
Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce's engagement wasn't just another celebrity announcement. It was a global pop culture event. Within minutes, social media exploded. Hashtags trended worldwide, paparazzi swarmed, and late-night hosts couldn't stop talking about it. Fans treated the moment like a royal wedding, except this time, it was music royalty marrying America's football hero. The union had everything: fame, romance, and fairy tale sparkle. To Hollywood, it was pure magic. To brands, it was a goldmine. And to Meghan Markle, it was a flashing opportunity. She knew one thing: proximity to this couple could mean instant headlines, millions of ears tuning in, and sponsorships lining up. For Meghan, this wasn't about congratulating the couple out of kindness. It was about attaching herself to the most talked about love story in the world.
Hey.
Did you know it's cold in there?
Yeah.
Must be an American thing.
It's not.
In her mind, Taylor and Travis weren't just engaged. They were the anchor for her comeback plan. Meghan had been in recovery mode ever since the lukewarm reception of With Love, Meghan's Season 2 on Netflix. Critics who once cautiously supported her pivot to storytelling quickly turned sour, calling the show shallow and desperate. The numbers tanked, buzz evaporated, and Meghan needed a fresh strategy. That's where the podcast came in. She envisioned it as her new empire, a platform where she could host celebrities, discuss empowerment, and rebuild credibility. But she didn't want just any guests. She wanted the biggest names. Her dream premiere episode, Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce, freshly engaged, sharing their love story exclusively with her.
1 month, 2 months, 3 months, oh, hit the baby mama when I'm stepping through the door. Yeah, I'm pregnant, but I got an ill flow. Trying to make some money, buy some huggies from the store. S to the T, A, double R.
Meghan believed that securing the hottest couple on the planet would catapult her back into Hollywood relevance overnight. Sponsors would fight for slots, fans would flood in, and the headlines would be unstoppable. For Meghan, this wasn't just a plan, it was the plan. Meghan's first move was calculated charm. She recorded a polished, personal congratulatory video for Taylor and Travis. Smiling, warm, and dripping with sincerity, Meghan's intention was clear. Start with flattery, then follow with business. The video was quietly sent to Taylor's team, crafted to position Meghan as a supportive peer rather than a desperate outsider. But the reaction wasn't what she expected. In fact, there was no reaction at all. No thank you, no acknowledgement, not even a polite brush-off, just silence. For Meghan, that silence stung. She had expected at least a nod, a return message, some recognition. Instead, it was as though her outreach had vanished into the void. It was her first warning sign that Taylor's camp wasn't interested, but Meghan wasn't ready to admit defeat. To her, the idea was still solid.
Just like her Netflix show, just like her first podcast with Spotify, just like her most recent podcast, utterly backfired. Here's a headline about that. We haven't talked about this on the show, but she started a new podcast called Confessions of a Female Founder.
It was just the execution that needed work. After the ignored video, Meghan's team went official. They drafted a pitch to Taylor's representatives, framing the podcast appearance as a casual, uplifting chat about love, resilience, and staying grounded while famous. On paper, it sounded perfect. Meghan's podcast would get a massive boost, and Taylor's engagement story would dominate yet another platform. But behind the scenes, Taylor's team saw things differently. According to insiders, they quickly labeled the offer as self-serving. In their eyes, this wasn't about celebrating Taylor and Travis, it was about Meghan using their engagement to resuscitate her own brand. One rep allegedly said it felt like piggybacking off the hype. The rejection, when it came, was blunt. They weren't interested, and they didn't want further contact. For Meghan, the response was devastating. It wasn't just a no, it was a hard boundary that slammed the door shut. Meghan didn't stop there. She also floated another idea: cameos for Taylor and Travis in her planned holiday special with Netflix. Just a brief festive scene, maybe even pre-recorded. But this too was swiftly turned down. Netflix had already been cautious about Meghan's holiday project, worried it lacked star power. Without big names, the special looked like a low-budget variety show.
Trick that people do with pineapple, instead of just cutting it to make the perfect little bite, you follow the wedge. When nature has given you all the cues on how to have a perfect taste of something.
Oh, how fun is that? I love it.
Meghan was banking on Taylor and Travis to fix that, to lend her production legitimacy and headlines. But when their camp said no again, the illusion cracked. Without high-profile cameos, Netflix wasn't sold, and eventually, the entire special collapsed. For Meghan, it wasn't just about losing two potential guests. It was the realization that her name alone wasn't enough anymore. Once upon a time, she didn't need others to create buzz. Now, she couldn't even convince Hollywood's brightest couple to appear for a cameo. Behind the scenes, Meghan's rejection sparked chaos. Instead of accepting the hard truth, she turned inward and started blaming everyone around her. Her manager, her agent, even her Netflix liaison came under fire. Meghan reportedly accused them of botching the outreach, failing to negotiate with finesse, and not selling her brand strongly enough. Meetings grew tense, phone calls were clipped. One assistant described the atmosphere as walking on eggshells. Meghan still believed the strategy was brilliant. It was her team, she claimed, who had ruined it. But the reality was much harsher. The rejection wasn't about poor execution, it was about reputation. Taylor and Travis simply didn't want to be associated with her. The blame game only deepened the divide inside Meghan's shrinking inner circle. Instead of regrouping, her team grew increasingly fractured, and Meghan's confidence gave way to bursts of anger and long silences. Hollywood is a small town, and word travels fast. Meghan's repeated attempts to land Taylor and Travis didn't stay private for long. Soon, insiders were whispering that she was pushing too hard, circling back to people who had already declined. Some agents even warned their clients in advance. You might get an invite from Meghan Markle. Best to avoid it. The perception grew that Meghan wasn't handling rejection gracefully. Instead of moving on, she was doubling down, chasing after headlines that were no longer hers to claim. Even junior PR staffers began rolling their eyes at her persistence. What Meghan thought was determination, others interpreted as desperation. And in Hollywood, desperation is the kiss of death. Once the industry decides you're reaching too hard, the doors close even faster. Meghan was learning the painful truth. She wasn't the main character anymore, and everyone knew it. Taylor and Travis's team eventually decided enough was enough. Sources say they began setting firm boundaries, making it clear that any future offers, messages, or video notes from Meghan's camp were to be ignored completely. Some insiders even claim a formal legal warning was discussed, just to make the distance unmissable. For Meghan, who was used to carefully massaging her way back into conversations, this hard shutout was humiliating. It wasn't just a polite no, it was a definitive statement. We don't want you near this narrative. And the symbolism cut deep. If the most media-savvy couple of the moment wanted no association with her, what would that signal to others? Meghan wasn't just being rejected by Taylor and Travis, she was being marked as off-limits by two of the most influential figures in culture. And the ripple effect spread fast. Frustrated and humiliated, Meghan pivoted again. If she couldn't land big names, she'd go it alone. She recorded a solo podcast episode, an introspective monologue about resilience, self-worth, and rewriting your story when no one listens. It was heartfelt, even moving at times, but it wasn't the powerhouse debut she had envisioned. Gossip blogs quickly noticed the absence of celebrity guests, mocking it as the Meghan Show. The numbers trickled in after 48 hours. They weren't disastrous, but they weren't impressive either. No trending hashtags, no viral TikToks, just quiet. For Meghan, it was worse than rejection. It was irrelevance. She had once been able to command global headlines with a single move. Now, she couldn't even get a reaction from Spotify, who had once cut her a massive deal. Her big solo gamble had fizzled before it ever took off. The collapse of Meghan's Taylor-Travis plan revealed something larger, her shrinking relevance in Hollywood. This wasn't just about one missed podcast guest or one failed holiday special. It was about the growing perception that Meghan Markle wasn't a value add anymore. Industry reps quietly admitted off the record that her name didn't bring numbers. Ratings had plummeted on her projects. Media coverage had turned cold. And celebrities, increasingly protective of their own brands, didn't want to risk association. Meghan's empire was built on influence, on being the woman everyone wanted to sit beside, listen to, or feature. But as more doors closed, the illusion of power cracked. Alone in her podcast studio, rehearsing lines to an empty chair, Meghan wasn't just battling rejection. She was confronting the brutal truth. The spotlight that once followed her everywhere had shifted, and it wasn't coming back easily. So, while Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce's love story continues to dominate the headlines, Meghan Markle finds herself locked out of the conversation. What began as a carefully crafted plan to attach herself to their engagement spiraled into a public humiliation, one that revealed just how far her star has fallen. Once the woman who could command global attention with a single interview, Meghan is now struggling to book guests, land deals, or even get a reply from Hollywood power players. And the contrast couldn't be starker. On one side, a fairy tale wedding that has the world enchanted. On the other, a former duchess fighting desperately not to fade into obscurity. The question now isn't whether Meghan can land Taylor and Travis, it's whether she can reinvent herself yet again, or whether Hollywood has finally moved on for good.